Straight out the lead, joined today by two incredible guests, Rock. Somebody that I've known for 21 years. My coach, and in my eyes, the best coach in the IFBB. Friend of the family, friend and father figure, brother, all of the above, Mr. Neil Yoda Hill. And in front of me right here, the man they call Badass, Mike Sommerfeld. My friends, welcome to the show. We are now, actually today I'm going live, a week out from the Mr. Olympia. You guys ready? You excited?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. Look at the face. Look at the skin folds in the face. You know when somebody's down in weight, when that skin is literally folding up when you're smiling. But
well, not only that, let's give a little bit of love to the celebration of hair above the upper lip on my man right here. Look at that beard.
Look at that mustache.
Is this why they call you badass?
Not yet, but we will see soon.
Yeah,
I like
look at
it.
that. Is that going to be on stage?
I don't know.
I don't know. What is this the brand that you've been using and working with for the last year? I've seen you with different stashes.
Honestly, I tried to copy a guy. His name is Flex Lewis, and what he did the past few years, he was cutting his beard off before the show. That's what I did, just to see myself and like, okay, it's game time, my friend.
It's a different guy, right? When you shave that beard and you see yourself back, it's like, who are you? I don't recognize this face, let alone his body.
We were just talking about this because, like, I asked him specifically. I was like, "Dude, did you ever compete with your beard?" And he was like, "No." He was like, "The beard comes off. When the beard comes off, Flex turns into a whole different human being." So he's like, he wouldn't like that guy.
He knew about that guy way too much. Way too much. But Mike, Neil, it's been great to see you over the last, what have you been here for, a week? A little bit over a week?
Yeah,
like that?
2 weeks.
Yeah, and see you putting in the work. You've been, putting it all in, obviously coming into the Mr. Olympia. We've made some incredible changes, which we're going to be talking about and how you guys have put that together this last year. But let's talk about the Olympia and these improvements that you've made. And what are the improvements the fans can expect to see now stepping on stage?
Well, we're limited the past few years with the weight cap, right? And they changed it quite a bit. So we had the chance to go into our pretty much first off-season this year, and I can tell you that it was the greatest off-season I've ever had. You know Neil, he makes sure you don't eat crap food. So my off-season was basically very, very clean, high-quality foods. I spent my off-season in Dubai, where I was able to get the best quality, high-frequency, good amounts of food. It was prepped, it was delivered, so I could just pick and choose the vegetables, the protein sources, carbs, the fats. And of course, Neil had an eye on me all the time. We gained weight very easy because it was my first off-season since 2018-19. We already reached the weight cap like for 200 pounds back then. And then we had some room to grow, and that's what we did. 4 months. We didn't push really hard, but we increased the calories a little bit. We changed the training. We learned a lot and worked out pretty well.
What kind of things did you learn during that off-season that you hadn't have learned previous years?
I would say it's mentally to use emotions, putting into a set where it's beneficial. In other words, if you are depressed and angry and frustrated, very negative emotions, but as you're able to turn that into power or fuel, you will get much more out of every set, every rep. And that's what I'm focusing on for, I would say, at least 8 weeks as a mental boot camp. And I was able to create an emotion which is so intense that I can go through pain and through these walls you need to break to make improvements.
Mm-hmm. So you're talking about not physically improved. This last off season, you really found a new mental side to this drive that you never had before. That's what you're talking about. Tapping into these suppressed emotions, things that you've, whatever it is that you've suppressed, you're putting them into each and every training session. So the mental game is something we talk about a lot in the podcast. We've had some incredible guests in all different sports, and everybody talks about that time where they were able to unlock that true potential by, tapping into that mindset. A lot of these guys say, let's just take a couple of fighters we've had on. They were fighting on emotion. they didn't know really how to home that emotion in. And when they done that, I mean, they were on winning streaks. They were able to truly find that best version of themselves, not only in training, but also in the octagon too. Have you ever worked with anybody on the mental side of things, like a sports therapist or anything like that?
No, but I'm working on it since, I would say, 8 or 9 years by reading, talking to psychologists and people who are involved in this personal mental transition from A to B. And there are many, many different types of changes. And for me, it has never something to do with breaking my ego. It's more about using it to give me all the benefits I need to do things, to grow, to perform better, to, improve.
What have you seen in the last year, Coach?
You know, just to touch base with what Mike said, obviously there's a huge mental transition from the old Mike to the new Mike. And it's obviously paid dividends with his physique because he's made some incredible progress and gains. Very much like us back when we would transition from 202 up to the 212 division. That extra weight allowed you to obviously bring a new level of physique to the stage. But it also gave you the ability to have more confidence with your off season and be productive. You know, Mike talks about that, you know, this is the first off season he's had for such a long time, because obviously we were chasing Olympia qualifications at different times. You know, in a perfect world, you want to step on stage at the Mr. Olympia, place in a place which allows you to pre-qualify for next year. That's obviously only for a very limited amount of athletes. You know that as well as as well as myself. So that's positive in one sense, but the other negative with that is that you do feel that sometimes doing shows away from the Olympia allows you to learn a lot as an athlete, as a coach and an athlete and coach relationship. But my point in this is that Mike talks about the mental side, which has changed, which has made such a massive impact on his physique. But the thing is, before, even if Mike had that same mentality, you still can't build muscle because you're in a box. And, you know, when you competed as a 202 athlete in your first pro show flex, you were about 192. I can remember you were about 192. And obviously, we went through the process over probably like 3 years to get from 192 to step on stage as a true 202 athlete. Once we hit that 202, you know, we brought a physique, or you brought a physique, which was worthy of the most prestigious titles in the world, obviously, the Mr. Olympia. Unfortunately, in the last 202 show for you, that didn't happen. Do I think you should have won that 202 division? 100%. I have no doubt.
So do I.
You were the champion that day. No disrespect to the champion himself, because you have to show respect to these athletes, because, and it's not personal, remember, it's just a personal opinion. It's just a personal opinion. But when that 2012 division came along, there was a change in your mentality, because now you're not being pushed into a box that you've outgrown, right? So I think that there's many elements with what Mike is saying. And of course, we've been able to increase calories, making sure that his digestive tract is in a really healthy place so that he's able to utilize, not force feed, not overfeed, be in a positive state of being in an environment to make sure that you're also considering the variable of injury prevention, because as strength goes up, as food goes up, as new muscle tissue takes place, sometimes tendons can't keep up with those strength gains. And obviously Mike has grown in confidence with his physique. He's definitely so much more three-dimensional. And I know that this is a simple question, and I know I've answered a lot, but I said to Mike, I think it was last week, I said, I was at every single photo shoot that Flex did the day after Olympia. And you'll know this, all right? Per Burnell. Between Per Burnell and obviously the other incredible photographers, Kevin Orton being one of those as well. Those guys may have taken 200, 300 pictures of you over a period of 2 hours, right? And out those 200 or 300, we only like 10.
We would sit and look at them.
Seriously,
Yeah,
it'd be like,
would.
don't like that,
Yeah.
because there was gaps. You know, there was gaps in the physique, but everyone has gaps. Everyone. What becomes a real three-dimensional athlete is when those gaps get filled. And that's what I've seen with Mike. And I remember in your last photo shoot with Per Burnell, I can remember the room we were in. I remember it's in the dumbbell room. I can remember it so clearly. Per must have taken 200 pictures. you could have probably used 200 pictures because they were all so fucking incredible, because you'd filled all those spaces, right? So that's what I'm seeing with Mike now. This new muscle is filling spaces. His waistline is the same size. It's allowed his physique to really show a new dimension. Of course, he still has to compete and step on stage. We still have to make weight. That's where our focus is at the moment. So we're roughly about 4 or 5 pounds away from making weight. So we're in a really great place. And because he's in a great place emotionally, mentally, he's here in Vegas. He's got a beautiful wife, Shani, with him. I just feel that, he couldn't be in a better, and we call it base camp, right? We used to turn up in Vegas normally about 8 to 10 days before base camp sets up. And then, we go into the final phases. So he's in a great place. He's in a really, I have no doubts that he's going to make some noise on that stage.
Well, he's already making noise, because we were in the gym last week, and him and Ramon were doing an improv pose down right in front of us, and obviously I seen him walking around the gym pumped up, but then the improvements were just so much seen when these guys went and had this pose down. I was like, holy shit, incredible fucking improvements. Again, it's hard to see on the internet, and we all kind of follow and see things that pop up. Coach obviously posts a lot of his athletes. But then when you're in this gym, I know who walks through this gym and who has that look. And then when you were training that day, you were like, hey, come on, let's take a couple of pictures. You knew you looked good. You knew he made them improvements. And my gosh, I got tagged in on all this stuff. That photo and that video went viral. It's got to be good feeling for you to now be talked about as one of the contenders to break into that top 5 as well, right? You can mixing it up. It's got to be a good feeling for you to come from Germany, have the dream to go from linking up with Neil, have this incredible journey, competing all around the world, and now you're on this Olympia stage this year. Obviously, you're just like me. We're coming into base camp that week, and we were like 4 or 5 pounds always overweight coming here too. But again, I was the stressor in the weight. This guy'd be like, "Shut the fuck up. We're good. My job is my job. You just follow the plan." But it's good to have that coach too, and we spoke about that in the gym, right? You want a coach, not a cheerleader. Let's talk about that relationship between you and Neil and how that came about.
That's a pretty interesting story. And as you said, he's the best coach in your opinion. I share that for a reason. I texted him 31st of December, so like close to New Year's Eve. And I got a message, I guess 2 hours later. It was the 1st of January, and he answered straight away. I was like, okay, that's weird. Maybe that's a fake. And he said, yeah, Flex told me about you. And I was like, okay, that's 100% fake. Can't be real. And they said, yeah, okay, let's have a call. And I was like, okay. Oh, wow, okay. I mean, for real? And then we had a conversation, and he said, okay, you just turned pro. Let's see what we can do. I had a special health condition. That's why I worked with Patrick Tour before. And he said he could not take the responsibility to coach me anymore. Because my body is not able to produce oxygen in these 7 following steps. So the 7th one is not working properly. That creates toxins and raises my liver enzyme levels. And Neil said, okay, there's a deal. We're going to work together. As soon as your levels go up slightly, we're going to stop right away. Deal or no deal. As he is very straight and honest. And I said, okay, deal. And since then, my levels were dropping and dropping and dropping. I'm healthy as never before. I'm feeling great. My body developed tremendously throughout the last 5 years. And we did so many shows. We had so much, I would say, time together, not personal, but he's much more than just a coach. A coach is somebody who tells you, eat more rice, eat less rice, eat more chicken, go to bed early. But he really takes care about your life, business, how you feeling, what kind of person you are. He's like a real mentor slash friend slash coach. And I say coach, the last point, because all the other things before are so much more intense. And as we agreed, he's probably the best coach in the world. So he is really part of my inner circle. There's my dad, my wife, and Neil. I have basically 3 people pinned on my WhatsApp, and he's one of them. My wife is one of them. That tells a lot.
Can't be missing any messages from him either, right? Oh, he's giggling.
Sometimes I should just put my phone off.
You got to have some stories with him where you've not got back to him in a timely fashion. And
so many.
says so many. I got so many of 21
Mike,
decades.
Get some rest, go back to bed. 10 minutes later, hey Mike, I need some pictures now. I love it.
Yeah.
But you can feel that he's on the money. Like, he wants you to be the best you can be.
Of course.
Every fucking minute.
Yeah.
Well, the force is strong with him, and they call him the Yoda, right? And now, obviously, if you're the Yoda, you gotta
amongst other things.
Yeah. Well, with our relationship, obviously, with competing from amateur to then pros, the things changed in terms of frequency of meals and stuff like that as we evolved. But what didn't change was his mindset switch. So you have a relationship with Neil, in the off season. Yes, you're still working as coach and athlete, but then when it comes down to that critical time, whether it be whatever the number is, 15 weeks out, for us it was 20 weeks out, we'd have that conversation on a Friday or something like that, like, hey, Monday, coach hat's on. And then, as I'm waking up, I get a WhatsApp from him. I was expecting fucking pictures of 7. Where the fuck are you? What's your weight? And I'm like, it's 7:01, mate. Calm down. But you go through that period of that new balance because you've gone through, 11 months of not having a show. And then it's retraining, that mentality. Now, a lot of coaches that I work with, they have a consistent relationship throughout the year. And I think that's a bad thing because it allows the coach to feel empathy. It allows coach to give forgiveness or be like, you know what? Yeah, you've worked hard this week. You have a cheat meal because the athlete's asking for it. With us, it was never a question of can I have a cheat meal? I had to earn something. And he would actually tell me and force feed that cheat meal into me many times where many cases where I didn't want it. I was like, I don't think I want. You're fucking eating it. And I want you to send me a video, which at that time in the morning was like 3 a.m. So my poor wife was looped into all this stuff where he would message Ali on the side and he would say, I need you to film him eating his cheat meal because I don't believe he's eating it. Is any story similar to you?
Yeah, my wife, she's doing a lot of conversations, especially the last week, because I tried to really chill. And as I said, Neil is a huge part of my inner circle. So the moment he moves his lip just a millimeter, I'm like all in. And sometimes I feel pressure when there's no need to have pressure, just because I want to be the best I can be for him, because I can feel he puts everything he can into my success. Mm-hmm. So what I can do is just trying to give everything back I can. Sometimes that creates pressure, but also diamonds are created by pressure.
Absolutely.
So it's my job to deal with it.
Yeah.
And he has never ever a bad intention. So I just sometimes need to come back, control my emotions. Sometimes he's straight. No, I would say all the time. He's very straight all the time. And sometimes he tells you things you don't want to hear, especially things where you're not the best. That's his job, finding those spots and make you work on them.
Yeah.
And sometimes it feels hard, but it's my job to control it. It's my job to make that happen.
It's called tough love.
Tough love?
Tough love. That's what we call it. He would message me before a leg day and be like, you trained like a pussy last week. I seen you. I was there in the gym. You're not going to win the Olympia training that style. So I was like, okay, fuck you. No, I trained hard enough. And then you realize, like, nah, I didn't really. I had more in the tank. Even though you're in the mindset of, I'm going to empty the tank here. But that's I said, that's the difference between having a cheerleader and a coach. That coach is going to tell you that, you suck, or you have body parts to bring up, or you need to improve on this. And as much as you might not want to hear it at that time because of diets and emotions and everything else that's going on, you need to hear it. And then when it starts sinking in, it might take some time, even though, again, we have a long relationship and long history of a blueprint of all this happening. It would be like, okay, I understand now. And then we would take that new, whatever that conversation would be, and then we would implement it into the training. But there was always that transitional period for us, right? Where we went from, traveling on the road and eating and training and having fun to then that switch, that mentality, and it's not like you show favoritism to anybody. Everybody gets it, right, Coach?
Yeah, because my intentions are always going to be good. I'm never going to expect an athlete to step on stage and place in a place that maybe at that given time they're not at that level of muscularity or that level of maturity. It's like layers, right? It's like walking up a ladder, so to speak. But I, as a coach, I have to give my everything for me to feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So my expectations of the athlete is to make sure they're doing everything on their part to be the best athlete that they possibly can be. Because there's no second chances, unfortunately, on that stage by any means. You know, you have one shot at it in that prejudging. It's not very often that you're going to have the ability to make a mistake and get away with it. And at the end of the day, when you look at a 12-week, a 13-week, a 14-week pre-contest prep, there's many, many days. For every day that you haven't applied yourself, that's a day that you sometimes can't get back. And of course, genetics play a massive part. Structure, genetic ability to build muscle tissue, genetic ability to potentially grow into shows if that's something that you're able to do, depending on the weight category. You're competing against genetic specimens, and you have to be able to look at yourself at nighttime, especially the day after the show, and ask yourself, did I do everything that I could have done to be the best version of myself? And the best version of yourself is doing everything that you need to do and nothing that you don't have to do. It's very easy for some people to be into a mindset where more is better, more cardio, less food, more training volume. You're in a catabolic state. There's a fine line between anabolism and catabolism pre-contest time, and you need to make sure that you're potentially trying to stay as anabolic as possible so that you are able to get maturity, be able to lose body fat, potentially grow into a show, and certainly preserve muscle tissue. So I never ask my athletes to do more than anything that they should be doing as far as cardio, calorific restriction, whether we're doing high days, low days, training volume in the gym. But as for me, I have to know that I've done everything I can for me to warrant the ability and feel good that I'm doing everything on my behalf.
What was it about Mike that you seen? Because you have a very elite group of athletes you work with. You don't work with just anybody. And I've been in many conversations where you said, like, it's not about the money. I want to work with people who take my time seriously, have that little something special about them. But what was it with Mike, knowing that Mike had some pre-existing genetic health issues that made you think, I want to work with this guy?
Well, first of all, I'm somebody who gets drawn to shape and structure. All right. So, and you could look at that in lots of different forms of life, right? To me, shape and structure is bodybuilding. And unfortunately, not everybody has the shape and the structure, but a big percentage of those people which don't have that shape and structure have these crazy genetics to build muscle tissue, right? So there's an element which is just, you're fortunate, you're gifted, you're lucky. But there's a lot of gifted, lucky people out there who have never gone on to be successful in their chosen professions because they don't have the drive, the determination, they're not hungry, or maybe they don't have that passion, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you want something and you're passionate about something and you apply yourself, then you're going to see progress. Mike's physique is very appealing to me. I just look at it and think, that's just bodybuilding. That's just like art. And the great thing about the classic physique division, it's allowed athletes who potentially don't have the ability to build the mass to go into a open class division, potentially don't have the ability to build the muscle, to step on the top end of the scale of the 2 or 12 division. And it's allowed them to step on stage as the athlete they are. I still feel that, like every division, the men's physique division, classic physique division, it's height and weight. So it's not just about shape and structure, it's about height and weight. But Mike just had that physique, which I just think is just like, it's just so appealing. It's a front cover shot. He's handsome, he's got great skin, he talks well, he speaks German, he's gone out of his way to learn multiple different languages. He's a very sociable, interactive person. And when I knew about his genetic disadvantages, so to speak, I was also very, very, very mindful that, as I've always been with you, I keep my athletes healthy.
Yeah.
My athletes are 100% healthy. And I like the challenge. And I feel that the progress that Mike has made is testament of how we work together. Yeah.
Well, listen, I think that this story among many that you have got going on, you know, you mentioned athletes. I seen that change working with Rafael Brandao, right? Obviously, this is a kid that I kind of fell in love with through meeting him. You know, couldn't speak much English, invited him over to the Dragon's Lair in Boca Raton and got to truly train with me every day for nearly 2 years through COVID. And I got to see his mindset change. And of course, he trained myself and coach. And we're talking about what I'm doing. He's talking about what he's doing. And I never tried to put you guys together, did I? It was just...
We never had a conversation.
No. It was just an organic... it was just for him an organic draw. You know, he heard what Neil was doing and making sure his athletes are healthy, and he loved all that stuff. And obviously, he wanted to, you know, make sure that he has a kid. Obviously, now it's come and gone. He hit that target, right? But I've seen this guy's mentality to bodybuilding in the gym and his mentality to life outside the gym tremendously improve, as I've seen yours. And again, I love the mindset, because once you tap into that, and you kind of, I hate this word, this sentence, not you have to fake it until you make it, but you really have to retrain your mindset into why you're doing what you do. And you have to, you know, feel the pain and enjoy the pain. You know, there was times that I was going to the gym where I was just absolutely exhausted training for the Mr. Olympia 6 weeks out, because we were pretty much nearly ready at that point in time. And I had to rediscover that new why. And every day I had to home in on that, because you're in the same shoes as me, where, you know, you're outgrown the class. Not that you can't make the weight, but right now you're in this spot where the improvements that they're looking for you to see on stage, you know, you could actually, you know, walk on stage right now with the improvements. But again, you got to make a weight, right? You got to step on that weight. So you've tapped into that mindset. Coach obviously has talked about different things that you guys have done, but I want to circle it back to how this whole journey started, and where and when you first stepped into the foot and the bodybuilding bug grabbed you.
I started doing bodybuilding when I was 11 years old, and I would say my dad is one of the main reasons. I found a funny picture. It's, I guess, almost 30 years old. He was competing right next to Dennis James.
Wow.
Junior Nationals, I have no idea. 1920. Dennis still had his afro. And
yeah, it's old.
yeah, very funny. So I guess he was the main reason. As your dad is a soccer trainer, you're going to play soccer or baseball or whatever. And I tried different sports like soccer, basketball, volleyball. I have diplomas in chess, acrobatics, stuff like that. But bodybuilding has no end. There's nothing like a perfect body. So reaching a goal or winning the game, yeah, you can win the Olympia, but there's another one coming right next year. So there's always something to work on, and that keeps me going all the time.
Yes. So I want to talk about, I read in an article you wrote that you and your dad started training together in the gym at a very young age, right?
Yes. I was not allowed to enter a gym because I was too young. Mm-hmm. So my parents made sure that, you know, these very, very old German or even British houses with the cows and the pigs behind in the garden.
Yeah.
We had that too, like a small little...
Urban farm?
Yeah, it's like very small house with the chickens and stuff, but we had no animals in there. So my dad bought very cheap plastic weights. He produced himself, like whatever it was, metal put together. Mm. One was 6 kilos, one was 8 kilos. So I did the sets and I changed the weights just to make sure my arms don't go differently, right? Yeah, very, very funny. And when I turned 14, it was a time when I was able to go to the gym the very first time. And you remember, it's almost 19 years ago. So we're talking about a time where there's no Instagram, no Facebook, no social media. So I was going to the train stations daily to get the Flex magazines and Muscle and Fitness, and there was just bodybuilding. No bikini, no classic physique, no men's physique. We're talking about Flex Lewis, we're talking about Ronnie Coleman, Flex Wheeler, all those guys. So this is where my bodybuilding journey pretty much started, and it's still very deep in my heart. So it's not like 1000% classic. There's still some bodybuilding beating in me since I'm a kid, and I love open bodybuilding. I love the big freaky guys. But for me, my bone structure, my understanding of bodybuilding fits better into the classic instead of the open.
Well, I heard the story about you and your dad, and you helped your dad at the same time too. You guys training together really helped him as much as you training through that time. You both created this inspiring story that I read, and I don't know if you want to talk about it or not, but I think it's very cool to see that bond and hear that story.
He will actually come to Vegas in 2 days, and there's a reason why he's doing it. I was younger, so I was not able to understand how depression works. And as a kid, a boy, you got a father who's pulling out the weapons when it's time to fight. When there was a problem, I was able to see him. All right, my friend, let's go. Problem, come over. You're mine. He was truly like, he is the badass. And then I saw him breaking into pieces, and I did not really understand what happened. It was like, okay, something is wrong here. Maybe he's not the hero I thought he is. So something was breaking, but I didn't really understand what it is. He was not able to go out of his bed for 2 weeks. He didn't shower. He didn't cook his food. He didn't show up at the gym. He was just, I called him. He just, he didn't care at all, and was like, okay, something is really, really not good. But I did not have the tools to help him. I was like maybe 14, 15 years old. And 2014, I prepped for the Arnold's Classic Juniors in Madrid. And I had a really, really dark and bad day, these days. And I called him and said, Dad, I won't make it to the gym today. I have to give up. It was the first time in my life I told him, hey, Dad, I don't think I'm going to make it. And he was like, what the fuck did you just say? You say, you can't? Okay, meeting at the gym, 20 minutes. I was like, okay, what happened? Okay. So I drove to the gym, and he was like on fire. I've never seen his eyes like that. And he was like, okay, Mike, we're going to get it done together. He was just there holding my hand. He didn't train, but he was there for his kid to make sure I get my shit together. And I was able to see that I created a reason for him to show up, to support. Even if it's not for him, it's for his son. So I used that to create a necessity. And then it was time to do the competitions. 1 week out, 2020, I guess. So the relationship got better. We trained together more often, more frequently. I found the tool to, let's say, hey, Dad, let's train. Let's do this, let's do that. Let's go grocery shopping. Let's cook together. Let's watch a movie, whatever. And then 2020, I had nobody coming with me to the competitions. I said, hey, Dad, in a week we need to go to Spain, Alicante. And I know he likes Spain. He wasn't out of Germany for many, many years. I asked him, and without any question, he was like, all right, book the flights. It's so easy. And I told him, hey, Dad, you need to take care of my tanning. I was like, I can't do it. Yeah, but we don't have a chance. Like, you have to.
Yeah.
And he was shaky, but he made it. And since then, I never, ever, ever book a professional tanning. Every competition I do, it's gonna be my dad shaving my ass and me. Super old school with these roll-ons.
Yeah.
That's what he's gonna do at the Olympia, and the last 3 Olympias, and the next 100 Olympias.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So.
What a story, Mike.
Oh, it continues. We went to the competition, and he was so nervous. The final touch-up with the glossy and stuff. He was like, he don't want to, make something bad. And then the next show, Romania and London and the Olympia, and then we missed the flight in 2020. It was not that we missed it. Travel restrictions from Germany to the US, and you needed to have a special document. And it took 12 working days, and I applied for it. I was waiting at the airport, refreshing my emails. I started to cry. I started to be very aggressive, screaming at him that I really need to go on the plane. They didn't let me. No. And the police officer says also, stop that right now. Anyway, I started to cry really bad because it was, imagine, he was competing against guys going to the Olympia, Dennis James, for example. And he never, ever had the chance to be at the Olympia, being part of the Olympia, not even seeing the show. And I created that opportunity to bring my dad to the Olympia, and we fucking missed the flight. Do you know how bad that felt? Everything I was working for, and I'm not talking about bodybuilding, I'm talking about my family and my dad, the excitement, the pressure before, hey, Dad, we're going to go to Orlando, we're going to go to Vegas, we're going to do that. And then it felt very, very bad. But fortunately, the year after, we were able to go to Mexico first. We learned, smart move, Mexico for 2 weeks, and from Mexico to Orlando.
I remember you in Mexico. You guys, when you were in Mexico doing the whole COVID stuff, what a wild time to try to compete, right, with all them restrictions and stuff.
I competed in Spain during COVID, London, Romania, and unfortunately not the US, but it was a pain.
Did you have to wear a mask when you were competing?
Excuse me?
Well, did you have to wear a mask when you were competing during COVID?
Yes.
Wild, right?
Yes.
I know. We're not the advocates on this. Don't worry.
Don't get me going. Folks.
Yeah, I know. I won't. Don't worry.
Yeah,
But you're going to meet him.
That's this.
I cannot wait. So full circle, and here we are.
He is literally my best friend. Believe me, he's so freaking funny. My wife, she loves my dad. Everybody loves my dad. If we're somewhere around, everybody tells, yeah, Mike, you're playing the role of being an asshole, and he is the nice guy.
One day you'll be the nice guy. Don't worry.
It's going to be on Monday when he's eating some carbs, right, Coach?
Oh, what did he say? He said Monday carbs?
Next Monday. Following Monday.
He got excited when he
Yeah,
said
you see his
carbs.
ears pop up. He's like, carbs?
Monday after.
Yeah.
The show?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cheat meals every day.
I got a question. Were you the one shaving Flex's ass back in the
Oh,
day?
my God.
or
He's
who-
got everything on
Who
him.
was on?
I have shaved him a few times, and I've tanned him, a few times.
He would the only guy that would
Yeah.
gloss me.
Yeah. I used to tan most of my athletes, especially when we were on the road. But mind you, don't get me
Like
wrong.
a spray.
No, I would
Old school.
Just old school, just basically with a sponge.
Like a fucking garden fence, mate.
Yeah, like a garden.
Straight down.
Yeah, he'd come out green.
That's happened too.
yeah.
Spread legs, bend it over.
Yeah.
Hey, I was gonna say you got to
Yeah.
spread the cheeks a little bit, you know.
The fucking shit that this guy's had to do for me.
I've got a lot of stories.
That's a podcast. in
I'd
itself.
love to hear. I would love to hear some of these stories,
lot
and I'm sure,
ahead.
and I'm sure some of the crowd they would love to hear some of these stories about Flex.
Flex is probably the most unorganized person you probably ever meet. Everybody's saying yes. Yeah. All
Not anymore.
So what would happen? We would turn up. We're prepping for a show, competing abroad. Oh, coach, I forgot my clippers. Well, I knew you would. That's why I fucking brought mine, So he would use my beard trimmer. He would shave himself. I would shave his back in the areas he can't get to, and then he would finish himself off. Not literally.
That's a fucking clip now.
Yeah. He would finish himself off with a Bic razor, all right? And then I would apply the tan. And then if he cut himself, especially with Pro-Tan. It's alcohol based. It's the best tan. Pro-Tan is the
Stings.
best. It stings. So this little bitch would be screaming because
I'm fucking bleeding all over the place like Edward Scissorhands.
Yeah, because it stings. It's like putting aftershave on a broken wound, right?
Yeah, like a cut on your finger and you get
Yeah.
lime in it
Yeah.
or something, right?
Yeah. But it's like everything, sometimes you try to tell a story. It's not funny because people aren't there, right? And but there's been many of those.
Oh my God,
Yeah,
there's so
there's
many.
been many of those. And I've been fortunate to obviously travel, like intensely throughout the whole world with Flex, and as well as other athletes. And all the things that you don't see behind the scenes. You see you see the polished diamond on stage, you see the athletes on stage. It's all the small things which are the most rewarding, so to speak. Yeah. So I have stories with Mike, but poor old Mike tends to only have my time. In fact, we only have time to be honest with you, together come contest time. It's very, very rarely we actually have any off-season time. Whereas with Flex, it was a bit different because we live so close together. So whether it was when he was in Wales or when I was over in the US, etc. So poor Mike sees more the coach cap on than the other side.
But we're going to
But,
change that
Yeah, we're changing
really
that.
soon.
Yeah, well, we'll be finished the show prep very shortly. Yeah. So
I'm not moving to Vegas, guys.
I was just about to say that. It sounded like it.
But we're going to celebrate Christmas together
Oh, Cure?
here.
Ah, that's a nice
We're gonna
Christmas
do
in
the,
Vegas.
the typical German, the day before Christmas, actually.
Ah,
So we're doing grandma's recipe. Has to, like 8 kilograms of turkey. These bread balls. I don't know if you have that here.
stuffing?
No,
Okay.
we call it knödel. It's like you can make them out of potato, like balls
Yeah.
in the oven, or no, you
Like gnocchi? That's like a pasta.
Yeah, no. It's made out of bread, but like bigger balls, super tasty with brown sauce. And okay, I'm on diet, guys.
I can tell.
If you
it's
guys want to
definitely
drop
some-
some off, or me and Flex, we'll try them out.
Yeah, I'll try it.
and my dad has to make it because that's a tradition.
Oh, yeah.
We have really fixed traditions on Christmas.
okay, cool.
Yeah, as do I in the Lewis household too. That's why we try to go back to Wales for every
Are you
Christmas.
doing the gingerbread?
I do the gingerbread every single
Are
year.
you
I build
eating
one.
it?
No, you don't want to eat my gingerbread house after it's done. It's all fucking messed up.
Oh, we eat it. First, we're going to build it.
Yeah.
We're going to let it stay for like 2 or 3 days. Everyone puts some little presents into it, but nobody knows what's in there.
Yeah.
And then Christmas night, we're going to break it, eating a few pieces, and then we're doing the presents, like just pick and choose.
That's going to be cool for you guys to have that time, Christmas time.
Yeah.
No diets, no shows, and that's just some quality time in Las Vegas. And it should we should have some snow in the mountains hopefully for Christmas. Make
Yeah,
it feel a
usually
little
around there.
Yeah.
yeah, but
I've never been skiing.
never.
Well, you
Never.
can ski like 30, 45 minutes away from our home. Like
I should not, maybe not do it. I'm a really intense athlete. So the moment I'm standing on a snowboard or a ski,
Yeah, I understand that
competitive.
mentality.
Yeah.
no, I'm all in.
Yeah, I went on my snowboard for the first time last year, and I'd done the Bunny Hill 3 times, and I convinced myself just through my mindset that, okay, I'm ready for the big slope. I was nowhere near the big slope. Nowhere near. But
Downhilling, I just got a new bike for all my. I was like, I tried to save all my money for years, and I bought the bike, the bicycle, and my dad invited me or brought me to like a racetrack, which was a World Cup downhill track. I was like, oh yeah, that looks nice. My whole cycle was absolutely damaged. All brakes were broken. My tires were flat. All the suspensions were gone. Like, you can put it straight into the trash.
how's the body?
Fine.
Really?
Absolutely.
Fuck, we went on you get ragged on the downhill stuff.
It's 50 years ago. It was unbreakable.
Oh,
I
right.
was doing free running and parkour and stuff.
Yeah.
I was jumping from house to house. It didn't really hurt me, but my bike was absolutely damaged.
You got to get coach on these downhill runs. He's into his mountain biking.
BMX.
But up the hill, not down the hill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're a coach of these great athletes. What do you do for your fitness? Are you still in the gym with these guys, or you have other
Oh
protocols?
shit, bro! He's strong.
I train with my athletes very often. Yeah, I don't expect them to do something that I'm not willing to do with them. And I like to listen. I'm not competitive in the gym. So what I mean by that is that I do what I know I can do. I don't try to be competitive with the athletes. I enjoy my training. But I also like life away from bodybuilding because I'm very, very passionate about it, and I call it my bubble, right? So I step into my work environment. I like peace and quiet. I like hiking. I like outdoors. That's why I love Vegas so much.
Me too.
You know, like I love Vegas. It's so and it's very the complete opposite of me. So Flex knows what it's like. Flex knows I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't party, I don't do any of those things. I have no interest.
That's why you're never at any of our after parties.
And I've never been into that. I worked in a nightclub for 14 years on the door. So the last thing I want to do is be in a noisy nightclub with drunk people, right? I like the quiet life. I like my coffee. I like the nature, and I'm in my happy place. But I like the gym. You know, I'm still a bodybuilder at heart.
Yeah.
You know, I train today with Norman, one of my friends. We train legs together. I'm quite inconsistent. If I train consistently, there's change, but I spend sometimes probably more time out the gym than in the gym because there's other things that I need to focus on as well. So
Right.
I feel I got pretty good balance going on.
You said something about, you know, being out in nature here in Vegas, and a lot of people who come here don't realize that we have that, right? Because they just think Vegas and they think casino strip, right? But there's so much beauty out there, and you know, even just for your mental health to get out into nature and just think through some things, get a good walk going, get a good hike going, right?
Yep.
Is that mental coaching also a part of like how you approach each one of the athletes, you know, because everybody's different, right? Like
Yep.
some guys get motivated differently, you know. Do you take that in an approach and try to change things with different guys, you know, because they need different things?
I try to get to know the individual and find out where their strengths and weaknesses are when it comes to their emotional side. Because obviously, humans are very complex.
Yeah.
And you also have to understand that people have different breaking points, different personalities, different drives, different passions. Some people will say that if you want to excel in something, then you will never, if you want to be the very best, there is no balance. I will agree to that to a certain point, but I also feel it's absolutely essential to have something other than just bodybuilding that you can focus on. So it might be work related, right? It might be your children, it might be your relationship, or whatever it may be. But I do look at each individual as individuals. But at the same time, they also have to have a reality check as well and understand that their mentality is going to have a massive impact on their ability to be successful. Because anyone who's ever gone through a real pre-contest prep and has gone into real contest shape multiple times, they will know that it's a very lonely, dark environment sometimes. It's not necessarily unhealthy. But what I'm saying is that, you know, you have to be extreme with your lifestyle habits, making sure that you are just so structured, so disciplined, so focused. And I think sometimes not everybody has that mentality to do that. And some people will be successful and not necessarily have to be so committed because of genetics. And genetics, I bring it up number time. It's unfortunate because we're not all genetically the same, right?
There's always those guys we run into, and they're just ripped all the time. And you're like, dude, they barely work out. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
But every genetically gifted athlete also has weaknesses. So if it's not with their physique, maybe it's with their mentality. You know, we've seen it so many times, so many, like,
I completely agree.
Incredible individuals. They don't have the mentality. And it's a waste.
Saddest thing in life is wasted talent, you know, and you get guys who are naturally gifted in ability, but they don't have the work effort, right? And you see guys who are average in their skill, but they got the work effort, and those are the guys who end up becoming champions at times as well.
Yeah. But mentality is everything. Mindset is everything. I will quite often bring up my own experiences as an athlete, not because I am trying to superioritize myself over somebody else, but be like, listen, you're tired, really? Do you want me to tell you what I used to do when I was an athlete, how many jobs I worked? I was a father, I was a husband, I had 2 full-time jobs.
I was walking to school every day with no shoes, uphill.
In snow.
In snow. Yeah.
Snow.
Yeah. But so it's like, don't tell me you're tired. Don't tell me you don't have time. You have no idea what I used to have to do. And I'm not somebody who's like, me. I'm just trying to, sometimes it's a reality check, right? Some people sometimes feel sorry for themselves. Like, are you fucking serious? You think your life is bad and you look at some other individuals and you compare yourself to them? Don't complain. Don't start feeling sorry for yourself, because judges don't care how tired you are. They have no interest about what's taken place over the last 10 weeks or 12 weeks. There's been some obstacles, I can assure you, during this pre-contest prep with, you know, some of my athletes. Real obstacles. The audience, the so-called fans, the social media interaction, the judges, they're not interested in stories. They're only interested in judging what they see in front of them. And I'm sure that if those individuals, whether it's judges or whether it's the audience or people who follow these so-called amazing athletes and individuals on social media, if they knew a little more about their personal life, maybe they would be a little bit more understanding and sympathetic, right? But at the end of the day, on contest day, in every sport, if you play soccer or rugby or whether it's bodybuilding or anything, or you're a dart player, if you're not playing on point, you're being judged in that moment in time. And you have no wastage time. You can't get back time sometimes. But, you know, what are we? We're 9 days out from Olympia now.
Yeah,
and
right around the corner.
And it's, you know, it's really fastly approaching. So, you know, it's just mentally staying emotionally and mentally in a good place over the next sort of 9 days. And all these athletes are going to be going through exactly the same thing. So, you know, I have huge respect for all the athletes which compete in all the different divisions, and as well as the coaches as well. And, you know, I'm looking forward to seeing these incredible athletes on stage, from amateurs to Olympia professional athletes as well, because the great thing about the Mr. Olympia, and not just because it's the 60th anniversary taking place selfishly, obviously, in our home city, it's a celebration of fitness from amateurs to professionals. And the production and everything that they're putting into this year's event is going to be obviously historic, like it is every year. There's some incredible promoters and shows out there. We're obviously just talking about the moment about the Mr. Olympia, because this is where our focus is at the moment.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's me, my first one.
First Mr.
Wow.
Olympia, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
wow.
First
You're gonna be absolutely blown away, man. You are gonna be really enjoying this, because it is, even if you're not a bodybuilder at heart, you're going to walk away and you're going to be so overwhelmed with what you're going to see, because these athletes are just incredible.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Incredible.
Yeah, my whole life, you know, I grew up reading the magazines, getting, you know, and trying to learn. You know, I'm a little older, so like the internet wasn't around when I was a kid, and the information wasn't there, and so I've been through all of that and kind of like the history, and obviously have become really great friends with Flex, and have gotten to be around more athletes, and I've learned quite a bit. You know, I try to do a lot of my own research. You know, I'm definitely like, I deep dive on stuff, but just being around him rubs off on me in a lot of positive ways.
I was going to say positive, I hope. But yeah,
Sometimes you rub off me in a negative way.
That's good. That's good. That's my job. That's my job. You got that on camera, right, Tyus? Yeah, clip that shit. But with that said, we took him to his first strongman event this past weekend, Giants Live. He got to see all the guys, and we've done some activations this week. We took some of the guys to the different schools to meet the world's strongest brothers, Luke and Tom Stoltman. So you've seen that this week. And
that was awesome.
You got the
that. Honestly, I don't know if you guys have been to one of those, but that was really, really fun.
No,
incredible.
That's amazing.
Yeah, the strength that these guys possess. I mean, it's
crazy. I mean, and their first, you know, they're deadlifting for the world record in their first exercise, and then they do 6-7 more events after that. You know, and it's like, man, like the being able to get through that entire competition in itself is pretty crazy.
Yeah, let alone try to make a podium finish, right?
Right.
But you mentioned a couple of things, and I want to circle back then to Mike. You know, you've always preached about balance, even since we first started meeting. We first met. Our first competition, we worked together. I won that show, and I was all excited, because the first thing you want to do is think, you know, well, back then, because I was everything engulfed in bodybuilding. I would read the magazines, the forums, which are new, and I was just obsessed. But I didn't realize it, right? So when we obviously started developing our relationship, not that he was ever PG at all at any point in time. Neil was like, after the show, okay, coach, what are we going to do now? Are we going to rebound? No, the first thing you're going to do is give back to your family because you were a fucking asshole for the last 12 weeks to them. And I was like, oh, shit. And that's when I realized that this guy was somebody special, because he's so conscious about not only what he's doing with you, but also the family, the friends, and everybody who else has supported you on that journey, because they're also learning for the first time too about going into the show, what it entails. I was in college, so I had to bring all my meals in. I was having shakes, and they seen this, Jack the lad, hyper kid that played rugby and it was everybody's friends. All of a sudden, it was very quiet and grumpy. But I utilized that anger on the rugby field. But again, with his coaching style, he's so on point about making sure that everybody's involved. Everybody has the experience. Yes, you are the athlete. He talks to you as the athlete with that coach's hat, but they make sure that everybody's involved and everybody knows what's going on as well. So for the first time that we competed together, what I love about this guy, he sat down with my parents and he explained to them what our plan was and what he was going to be doing with me and stuff like that. Because, of course, bodybuilding was pretty big, right, in South Wales. You had a lot of doormen, huge, I would say, actually.
It was huge.
Huge. A lot of doormen would compete. But again, you get the extreme guys, right? But everybody only focuses on the extreme guys. They only know the extreme guys in the town. And he's the polar opposite of that. And thankfully, shout out to Steve Naylor, I was training with at the time. He is the complete opposite too. Quiet, hardworking fabricator. And he sat down with my mum and dad and said, okay, this is what I'm going to be doing with Flex. And they fell in love with Neil. And they knew that I was entrusted underneath his watch, because that was mainly the concern, right? It's like, here's my son, he's competing all around the world, food and supplements and lack of knowledge growing up in that generation too. You always think the worst thing. I mean, creatine was going to take my kidneys out, let's be honest, right? During back in them times. But thankfully for Neil, meeting him in my very, very early stage, my first show, he was able to have that relationship with my parents and tell them, this is what our plan is, this is the diet. He was always an open book. And then my parents obviously developed a relationship with him, and then we traveled around the literal world together. So he's definitely a different person. We spoke about that sort of things. But I obviously mentioned the balance side of things, because balance for him is a word that he preaches about all the time. He was like, you got to do shit that doesn't even involve bodybuilding. And I mentioned also something earlier where I was so obsessed at one point in time looking what people were saying about me online, and it wasn't fucking nice. It was never nice, because I was this young kid who had a little bit of fame. I had big legs and a body of a 20, 21-year-old, and you had all these guys that were just ripping me apart. And he was just, stay the fuck off the forums, Flex. You're reading shit you don't want to hear. Like, who do you want to hear it from? Me, the people around you, or for people that don't even know you? And I was like, you're right. And them small little early conversations that he probably can't remember, but kind of planted a seed in my head. Have you guys had any conversations where he said something to you and it's totally changed your perspective on things?
Many times. Many times.
Such as what?
I can tell you the last situation. Guess it's 2 months ago, 8 weeks, maybe 10 weeks. And prep hit harder and harder. So the closer you get to a show, the more precise you get and the more obsessed you get. So I fixed my schedule on the minute. And then I felt like, okay, I could do probably more. My attention span is like really close. For an example, we went to the Mexican pyramids, and I was like, hey, cool, there's a pyramid, a second one, a third one. Okay, let's go somewhere else. Like, okay,
done.
A few stones, looks nice, took a picture. Okay, let's go somewhere else. It gets boring real quick. So I try to do more and more and more work with my sponsors, new coachings, new this, new that, podcasts, conversations, phone calls, new businesses, new opportunities. And I ended up working 18 hours straight and being under pressure to make time to get my workout in. I was like, okay, something is really wrong. And I got anxiety when I was going back home after workout because I knew that I will sit down all day in my room, locked down basically until it's night. And then when it was time for bed, it's like, oh, I could do another video. I can cut it right now, but it's 2 a.m. in the morning. Maybe I should go to bed. It felt really bad. And I told him, and he said, what the fuck are you doing? Just stop. And I stopped. And I felt better 2 days, 3 days after. I needed some time to adjust, to get rid of the pressure, because you get opportunities. The closer you go to a show, the more opportunities pop up. Sponsors, companies, many people trying to talk to you, you know. But from that day I said, no, after the Olympia, I will focus right now. That's my time. That's my focus. That's my job to do. And everything else, if that's important enough, will come back.
I was going to ask that too. I mean, it's just because we're living in this digital age now, social media, video content, you know, so obviously you have to keep up with your social media. I saw you got, you know, big social media, and I saw you looking jacked with Ramon. But is there pressure to create more content for social media to get those to get sponsors moving, or, you know, you have commitments from sponsors, so you have to post X amount. So while you're in this like final couple weeks, it must be annoying to still have to do that, right? Then you have to go and do media interviews and all these type things. Does that, you know, those type pieces coming in this last couple weeks, do those deter you in any kind of way, or do you plan for those before you start?
It's all planned out. So basically we have our schedule, but things change. Just now I got the opportunity to sit with you guys. Of course, I would never say no. And it's not pressure for me, because now I got the time, I got the room to do that without any pressure. But we creating every video, every photo you see online, every YouTube video, every offer, every website, everything you see is right out of our own hands. We film our own stuff. We cut our own stuff daily. My wife, she's cutting for Rain Energy, my sponsors, Peak, Climax. I'm cutting my own videos. So what I'm doing, I wake up in the morning, she's filming, I'm cutting before I go to bed, on the treadmill or somewhere else when we are on the way. But I love it. It's like hypnotic almost. And if I don't cut the videos, I'm thinking about food, thinking about what else could I do. This chills me down incredibly. I can sit down cutting video for 8 hours and not spending a single second on food, thinking on food. So, but I have to tell you that I told many people that I will not answer my phone about 7, 8, 9 days after the Olympia. Don't text me, don't call me, you won't get any message back.
Well, this is lunch in 7 days out, so you can tell them on the camera, don't text me today from here all the way to the show.
Yeah, it's just honestly to protect myself, because I want
you gotta protect your energy.
I want to answer, I want to get good opportunities, I want to work with people. I love that. This is my biggest hobby next to bodybuilding, just creating things. But it's not the right time right now.
Right.
And I needed to learn that.
It's such a weird balance, because this is the time when all your eyes are on you. Everyone wants to see what you're doing. It's like a voyeur, I would say, experience, right? People want to see if Mike is on or off, what he's eating before the show, getting tips from a coach. And you guys have done an incredible job on that journey, putting out very regular videos for your fans in Germany, for your fans in the US. But again, to your point, right, there's this balance now where do you forfeit that chapter that's brought everybody on the journey? Now it's obviously the critical week to make sure that you focus on the job that you are being training to do, right? So it seems like you guys have got that plan down.
Yes, we are smart. We had this situation many times before. It's not the first Olympia. And just for people listen to this, to understand what's happening in numbers, let's say numbers, you're close to a show and companies can see, okay, he's very interesting right now. Let's call him. They have your number and they will get it. If not, hey, Mike, we want to make you an offer, $50,000 per month if you do this and that. And you say straight no, call me right after the Olympia. And you know for 99% they will not call you back. Saying no is hard, but winning the Olympia is harder.
Yeah.
You need to make a decision. If you're a businessman, go for business. If you're a bodybuilder, go for bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Simple as that. And these are basically the words Neil will tell you straight in your face. If you want to compete, compete. If you want to do business, all right, leave the gym, do your business. I'm fine. High five, bye.
Yeah, we had a lot of sponsors who were trying to get a lot out of me on the last couple of weeks, right? And you stood in the line of traffic a few times for me.
It's not that you can't work. You just need to prioritize, right? Because you have to be in an environment that the work that you're doing is not creating stress and puts you in an environment that you don't need to be in. Your focus has to be, obviously, Olympia prep. Flex has said this before many times. Sometimes less is better. Sometimes less exposure creates more excitement and more hype. And for those companies who literally only want to jump on the bandwagon and use you in that one moment in time, they don't have no interest in those athletes. They're just trying to monetize in that, and there's always going to be the next person
Making money.
It's a shame because, you know, social media, digital market, and everything else in between. It's a shame because it's more like prostitution, right? You're just basically a prostitute that they want to monopolize on or take advantage of in that one moment in time because they have a bigger picture. You know, it's a shame because there are some amazing sponsors out there who are invested into the athlete, whether they're on stage and off stage. They're invested into, you know, the storyline. They're interested in growing together as athlete and company or as a team, etc. So you have to pick and choose, you know, where you're going to put that time. You can still work and prioritize things, but not more than what is not going to take away your attention on focus on the bigger picture. Yeah.
I'm really, really blessed with my sponsors. I had quite a few changes the last 2 years, but now, just to give an example, we talked about the Olympia and they said, Mike, whatever you want to do, just do it. We won't tell you something. We know you're going to be on the money. Just do whatever you like to do. And now they just brought the idea Olympia week. Special sale, 5 selected products I can pick and choose. And it's basically my own signature products. We created them together.
Yeah.
Same shit. And now I was smart enough because we talked about it before. All the content is already filmed, cut it. I can just upload it. Everything is perfect. Nobody gives me pressure, nothing. And we just had a conversation and they said, Mike, if you want to continue doing shows, just book them. We don't care. We're going to support you. It doesn't matter what it is. Just do your job. You do a great job. We trust you. The numbers are solid. Do whatever you like to do. And I was like, finally.
That's a great sponsor. That's
Absolutely.
Peak, right?
Yes.
How long have you been with them?
Oh, we worked together 2016, 17, 18. Then I went international because I turned pro. But finally, I came back to Peak, and we had always a very good relationship. So I have he's more a friend. His name is Dominic, and he's the athletes manager, and he's a hell of a guy. I left Peak, and he was like, yeah, you know, you're living in Mexico now. We don't deliver to Mexico. It's fine. So follow your journey. But as you come back, you have to call me first. That's what I did. I said, hey, Domi, you know what? We're traveling, going back here and there, and I trust him. If he's a very straight guy. If he says we're gonna do this, it's gonna happen. And if he needs to fight with the boss, he will fight. He will go fight with them for you. And I really like this guy. He's basically the reason why I went back to Peak. I know the products, I know the quality, they're amazing. But I knew for fact that Dominic will do everything he can to make my life as good as possible in this relationship of sponsoring.
One less stress you have to worry about as well. When you know you've got a sponsor that is going to be there for you no matter what. On the note of sponsors, can you remember the first time you and I met?
BSN, 2014 FIBO.
We were working together on BSN. That year, they signed me. It was the first FIBO that So for you to understand, Rock, how big is FIBO?
Oh, shoot.
The biggest.
It's
the biggest. Nothing-
13, 14 arenas or something like that. It's
Nothing.
absolutely massive.
It's like
Nothing comes
1,500 times bigger than the Olympia.
You get dropped off at the wrong side, and this has been a problem for me. I got dropped off the wrong side. I don't know if you and I
You
were
need
together.
to take a bus.
I was an hour and 20 minutes late for my sign-in because I couldn't get through. You have to go through all these different expo halls to get to the supplement hall. And all these different halls have gym equipment, they have Zumba, but the fans are running around everywhere. So, I never say no to a fan ever. It's my rule of thumb.
You're fucked at the FIBO.
I'm fucked.
They follow you on the toilet. There's so many famous toilet pictures holding my dick.
The roads, I fucking told you. He doesn't believe me how many selfies I've had with me taking a piss.
Do you think they're waiting in line for 4 hours? If they see you walking on the toilet, they will follow you straight away.
I believe it.
Yeah.
We had this conversation with Chuck Liddell, and he was like, you know how many times, like, with my dick in my hand, like, I refused to shake somebody else's hand, and they got mad because it's like...
they was not able to touch your dick hand.
Oh, I got so many stories. That's why I only piss in a toilet, and hence why I tore my tricep, right? That's the fucking... that's the good habit I took into my retirement stage. But to go back to that, they wanted to do this impact, right? And they wanted all the BSN athletes that were signed that year throughout the country and throughout the world to come in and match me in. They had flags. They dressed you up as a bodyguard or something like that, right? This is super early in his career. All these guys they wear sunglasses. Remember this?
Yeah.
And I walked in. I probably walked about 100 meters, and I said, "Fuck this!" And I beelined out. Everybody else was walking to the booth with flags, and they were trying to make this whole like, look at flex, we just signed this, and I was like, I don't want part of this at all. They tried to do it like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We done it on the day that was the quietest. I was like, let me just suck this up because there's not many people here. It's just trade day, and then they were like, okay, we got to do it on the main days now. I was like, no, it's not happening. But you and I met for the first time. We got to chat, and then I'd seen the potential you had, because obviously there was the German Mike that had already had a fan base. He had an incredible fan base. FIBO is in Germany, where Mike's from.
By the way, it's 10 years ago, Flex.
10 years, bro.
10 fucking years.
This guy didn't have a beard back then. He had like fucking baby fluff, bum fluff on his face. He was trying.
Yeah, and no hairs on my back.
I no hair in the back. No, that's what's called bodybuilding, and shaving. But we had a good laugh and a good time on that booth. You got to see, I think us working together for the first time, and now what a journey now for me to see you back then, just living the life, wanting to be around the pros, to dream about being on the Olympia stage around athletes that were signed with BSN at that time, to now go from the guy who was on the booth giving out samples to now being the guy at the Olympia this year. So what a fucking story.
You have no idea how I grew up. We lived in a house built before the First World War. So it was like stacked stones. And this is where my mom still lives. I'm owning the house now. My grandma died. She gave it to me. And we had no money. I was eating rice and ketchup for 2 weeks.
Oh.
I got dressed up, and I'm talking about 2 t-shirts, 1 pair of jeans, and a pair of shoes once a year. Never ever had vacation, and didn't know what it is. Like vacation was like, like time off from school. No, you're gonna leave the country. To do what? Like, I didn't understand as a kid. And we had no money, nothing. And I have a list on my phone for all the things I appreciate. I'm thinking about that again and again. I was the guy who had no money to buy a bed. I was just laying on a piece of like mattress on top of my bottles of whey. So my bed was basically made out of whey boxes. Sitting down lonely at night, dreaming about being part of the bodybuilding industry. And now, think about how I felt meeting you the first time, being a part of BSN with Flex Lewis. You know what they paid me for all the FIBO going back and forth? I got 2 bottles of whey, aminos, a pre-workout.
You had to pay your own way as well?
What do you say?
Do you have to pay your own way for the hotels and
Of
stuff?
course, everything.
Come on.
I was happy to be a part of that. That was incredible. And you entered the FIBO. Basically, I picked you up as your bodyguard. And I tried to act like I'm cool, but I was like, guys, take pictures. That's Flex Lewis with me. Please take somebody pictures. And now we're sitting here talking about that. I got the same situation with Kai Green, and I always think about the Mike 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 19 years ago, reading the magazines, watching those pictures. That's fucking crazy.
What a story, right, Coach? Were you there for that FIBO that year?
No.
Mike did. I gotta say, Mike
But I
did look
remember
badass with the fucking
But
sunglasses
I remember
on.
you sending me pictures and saying this young kid's got really good potential.
Yeah.
I just
remember.
had a surgery 2 days before the FIBO, and I told nobody because they would say stay home. Didn't.
What surgery you have? Really? And you were there?
Sure.
Didn't see him?
With a tank top. They said you have to wear a tank top right after the surgery. So I tried to cover everything
Yeah.
to make it happen. I really wanted to be part of that.
Yeah.
Imagine this 11-year-old kid going to bed every night with the same thought, waking up with the same thought. I was 11 years old. That's where you go out and play soccer on the streets and do like coloring, whatever. I was in the gym every day. I tried to make sure I get my plain cooked chicken with no salt because Dad said salt is not good.
This guy no fucking list, is it? On?
Greek yogurt. I was eating 500 grams of Greek yogurt and 500 grams of chicken for like 10 weeks for my first show. And I loved it. I knew exactly that's the way I want to go.
It's in your DNA then. This is you're
That-
truly living the dream.
That, yeah, maybe. And I'm endlessly, ugly, fucking competitive. Ugly. It's getting better. Sometimes when we're playing cards, I don't need to break pieces. But I'm getting angry.
Don't come to my Lewis household, and my daughter's just as confident as my wife in who's going to win before we even start playing the game.
Okay.
Oh my goodness! But that's a good thing, right? You just home that into a skill, right? That determination and that competitive side of things.
As I'm getting older, I get more balance.
Yeah.
To know when to use it and when not. When I'm playing with kids, I don't care if I'm winning or not. 10 years back, I would make sure I'm going to win.
All means necessary. Is there anything that you want to talk about now going into this week? You mentioned obviously you got supplements that you're dropping. You do a signature series line that you're dropping for the Olympia weekend.
It's already dropped.
Nice.
And it's very, very interesting. You know about HMOs?
HMOs, no.
Human milk oligosaccharides. It's the main ingredients of mother's breast milk.
Drinking breast milk?
Yes, I do. I don't drink breast milk. We extracted that.
How do you extract the breast milk?
You go to the local titty bar.
My wife is sitting right behind me, bro. Very bad.
She's supplying all of Germany with this fucking whey protein. You poor girl. Wonder.
So basically, we designed a supplement for digestion, and HMOs are known to create and build the microbiome in infants. So we did a lot of research, and this is my second biggest hobby, doing research and being like a nerd and sitting in front of my computer for 11 hours, talking to people and doctors and stuff. We found out that HMOs could be used from adults too. So we checked the research, and it's working. Morbus Crohn, diarrhea, bloating, allergies. You can turn that into something really, really healthy just by making sure your microbiome is working properly. That comes with good food, good gut bacteria, but HMOs, they create this environment of everything has its balance, and we released it, and we are the first company in Europe, as far as I know, with these HMOs combined. Super, super amazing.
And this is your product? Mm-hmm. Wow. Already launched?
Yeah, in April.
Nice.
At the FIBO, by the way.
Oh, that's awesome. Hey, you tried this breast milk?
No.
It has bubblegum flavor, and I forced them to do a neutral one because I know when I'm telling Coach that they put bubblegum flavor in it, he will kick my ass. So now we're coming up with the neutral flavors.
Bubblegum flavored breast milk.
Or green apple. Green apple is also...
Can we get a little sample of the breast milk? I think me and Flex will try this.
Oh, I'm going to get you. Yeah.
Oh, there we go. I'll try it.
A shot of breast milk.
If
bubblegum
Coach
breast
does it
milk.
with
Is it powdered and then you add to it? Or?
No, it's breast milk. Bubblegum breast milk.
So
No, I'm just kidding. It's powder.
You could tell him anything right now. He's
Yeah,
like,
I know.
Yeah. He's so good.
But the box is cool. The box has the powder in it, and it has a box in a box with pills with bifidobacteria. You know bifido?
Yeah.
Like the typical Yakult, make it healthy stuff. Yeah, these are...
Well, you can pretty much guarantee that if you have a booth at FIBO and it says, "Welcome, come and sample free titty milk,"
Yeah.
right? It's going to be the
Suck the
busiest.
It's going to be a
for
fucking
It's going
line.
to be the busiest booth.
It's going to be a line.
Yes.
It's going to be the busiest booth there. There's no doubt. about it.
Hashtag suck tits for HMOs.
You know what, God? You could actually do that in FIBO. I have never been to an expo in my life where there is literally women's boobs on the side of expo stages. Like, remember a couple of years when we walked around, we were like, this would never fly in the UK or the US. Like, literally have 20-foot banners with their girls with their jugs out on the booths. And the girls are just as,
yeah, friendly.
he's like, I'm going to FIBO next year.
Oh, you're going to love it.
Yeah.
If you want to go, let me know.
Yeah.
My hometown, babe.
Yeah, it sounds awesome.
It's a great
Mike, you're a huge celebrity in Germany.
Hmm.
You have probably one of the busiest booths out of anyone in the industry in Germany. Your fan base is very loyal for all the right reasons.
Oh,
you
I
know?
love FIBO. Imagine. You know what I'm...
Seriously, like literally thousands of people.
Yeah.
You guys know what I'm talking about. You enter a place, you don't know where you are, like different country, different continent. You don't even speak the language, and people waiting for you already 2 hours in lines.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
I was that fucking guy. I was that kid 10 years ago. I can feel every one of them, and I had so many incredible stories. Guy was shaking my hand, and he was like shaking and sweating, and he was like 38 years old, 40. His family in the back, and I took his hand and was like, "Hey, do you need something? I can give you protein bars, a shake. If you're like hypoglycemic, let me know. I can get you. We have drinks." And he's like, "No, I'm fine." I was like, "Yeah, but you're shaking, you're sweating." I was like, "Yeah, because of you." I was like, "What did I do to you?" I was like, "No, I'm nervous. Like, what happened? What did I miss?" I was like, "No, meeting you." I was like, and then I remembered, as I was meeting you or Kai or Neil the first time, I wasn't able to breathe next to you. And I can feel everything they feel. That's why you said that you never say no to a fan. Same for me. If I see them and I'm on the way to leave and I was an hour longer, every booth was already closed, I'm still sitting there and talking to people in a very friendly way. Everybody's gone already, but I know exactly what they're feeling.
Because you've been there.
Yeah.
You've worn them shoes.
Many years. And I was dreaming about standing on the opposite side. Now I do. And now I can give back and give them the feeling to change it to my place one day. If they work hard enough, if they have a dream and a vision, they can make it. If I can make it from fucking rice and ketchup, having fucking no money, sleeping on the floor, bro, every fucking one can do that.
Yeah, everybody could do that, but there's a few that can. That's the difference. It's a mindset thing. But you have to give everybody that encouragement that they can do it. You know, there's so many conversations that I've had with fans that have now gone full circle, where some people I'm actually doing business with, and some people they'll, you know, like my story with Matt Jansen and your story with Matt Jansen, right, where he was standing in line and now he's one of the top coaches in the game. It's where you meet these people and the impact you make when they have that time with you, and that's something I want to commend you on, because it's great for me now to see again. Remember that 10 years ago, Mike, badass, to now seeing the man that you are right now in life. And talking of which, you've got your lovely better half behind you, and we cannot not mention her before we close up this show. But seemingly, and talking to Coach too, every great athlete has the foundation of a partner that's there and supported you through the good, the bad, and the ugly, all the things that you'll never talk about, but she's been there for. How much has she changed your life?
She literally changed everything. Before you got married, there was always a thing with not feeling safe. Once I married her, or actually before I married her, I felt from now I don't need to give a single fucking shit about everything else in life. As long as she's with me, nothing, fucking nothing can go bad. I can lose both of my legs, both of my arms. I know she will be there for me. I could start playing soccer. She will be there for me. And she stopped competing. She won the Mexican shows, German shows, and now she's doing tattooing. She's a videographer. She's doing so many different things, and we grow, we change, we develop together. And I don't know the English word for it, but it doesn't matter what happens. We're going to be together. We go through the change together. And she's absolutely amazing. There was not a single day, not a single minute, not a single second where we are able to fight or have an argument. It's not possible. You know, as well as I do, sometimes we're bitches because we're hungry or whatever. And she's like, hey, babe, you know what? I feel that you're a bitch today. I was like, yeah, babe, you're right. I'm sorry. Sometimes she's a bitch. And I'm telling her, baby, like, what the fuck is wrong? You're like, bitch. She's like, yeah, I'm sorry. And we can't have an argument. We can't fight. It's not possible. And we go through shit together. And it doesn't matter if it's Mexico, deep jungle, no running water, Saudi Arabia, deep inside the desert. We're gonna go through that together. It's... She's... I don't know. She's the best person in the world.
Yeah, we've all got that significant other. I wouldn't be where I am without Ali too. And you know, you've seen the difference when her and I got together, and I'm sure you can see the same thing with Mike, right?
Yeah, because I think as a coach, bodybuilding is a distraction, right? It's a huge distraction out there, to be honest with you, and it can be very fake out there as well. So to find a really good partner, whether that's a lady who's who steps into a relationship with a guy, or a guy stepping into a relationship with a woman, as a coach side of things, you just want to know that there's somebody positive, somebody whose intentions are good, somebody who's there for all the right reasons. Because life is fragile, right? And athletes don't look like they look like forever. You have to meet somebody or be fortunate to be in a relationship with somebody who's going to love you through all the transitional changes in life. And, you know, what I say to the athletes is that, listen, I know in this moment in time, it's about you, but you need to give back to your partner. It's really important that you don't think that your life and your dreams and your goals are more important than somebody else's. I think that, you know, everybody needs that attention and that extra love at times. But you also need to make sure that you don't take advantage of the good and the love and the support that, you know, somebody else will give you. Because I've seen it so many times that individuals become selfishly so consumed with themselves, they just don't appreciate the things which are more important. Yeah.
I mean, Shani, my wife, she's amazing. In terms of we're traveling together, Mexico, Dubai, Spain. So we have different opportunities. We need to adapt to different situations. And she's not in bodybuilding anymore. She's not working regular jobs. She canceled 3 jobs because I told her I will move to Mexico in 3 months. If it's serious to you, you need to cancel your jobs, sell your car, say goodbye to your family, your friends. And she was like, all right.
Wow.
I thought she's bullshitting me. She's a little younger. I was like, yeah, these girls. And then she sent me, hey, babe, I just sold my car. I was like, what the fuck? Like, oh shit, she's serious? And through the process, she did so many incredible things. I still cannot believe it. She's working for companies to create content, and she's good. You know how that started? right here in Vegas 2 years ago. We had a videographer, and he left because one of his cats got lost, his 18 cats.
Jeez.
Whatever. And I told her, hey, babe, this is my camera. This red button right here is to record. Go. From now on, we need to deliver daily cutted videos. She didn't know what iMovie is. Said, okay, do this, do that, cut the video. She did that. I said, that shit. We need to work on that. That is bullshit. Delete that. We're going to do it. Like, you fucked it up. She had a really fucking bad time.
Yeah.
But rather, you can do it now or you don't.
Yeah.
It's game time now. It was like 10 days out from the Olympia. And after 2 days, she had already the level of a not high quality videographer, but someone who you pay like $500 and they will make proper videos. And now she's the high end girl.
No, she's awesome.
She's really good. Same with tattooing. She stopped doing bodybuilding and she was like, yeah, what can I do now? Because you don't need to do cardio. You don't need to. She's eating still healthy and she's doing bodybuilding, but not on a competitive level. And I saw her drawing. I was like, yeah, she's really creative. She's intelligent. She has 22 diplomas for fitness and what she's teaching in universities, and she's smart as hell. And I told her, hey, what about tattooing? Yeah, I don't. She's a girl. Yeah, I don't know. So we bought the tattoo machine. Now she's tattooing like the big tattoo on her leg. The loyalty is. She did it. I got my tattoo from her already. People get tattoos from her, and this is what I like. That's one of the biggest things on her. If she gets an opportunity, if you open the door, she's all in.
Yeah.
She will give everything she has to make that happen. To support you, to support the team, me and her. That's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. With somebody that's motivated around you, especially a significant other, gets you motivated, right? So the same thing for me and my wife. She runs all these companies, and I just see her then coming home and being a mum and putting all these different hats on, and you cannot not but step up your game when you see somebody that you're literally living with that's doing all these different things and leading from the front. So that's great. Obviously, I know Coach speaks very highly of her and her
For a reason.
mental, impact she's made in your life as well as physical. So, Rock, anything else before you wrap up this show, my man?
I feel I'd have to do this, right? Because Flex so well. I'd love to grab, a few Flex training secrets that we could tell the fans out there. Maybe some that he probably doesn't even want to give away.
What about the foreskin crew?
Oh,
There you go.
That's basically how Neil broke the ice as we met the first time. He invited me to Orlando, Florida back then, to your gym, right? And get the invitation from him. And I've never met him in life before. He said, come over to the US. We're going to train together and hang out for a week. I was like, oh, shit, okay. And Neil, he's a very quiet, very straight and guy, UK. So we sat in the car, didn't really speak for like 1 or 2 days. He was basically sitting in his apartment and working, and I was next to him, breathing his air, being happy about it. And then we drove to the gym, and he was talking about something with foreskin, but I didn't knew the word. And he started to laugh, and I didn't understand what he said. And I want to be polite, and I was start laughing too, just to not be the stupid guy in the car, right? And he was like, "Do you know what foreskin is?" And I was like, "No." And then he explained me.
Because he doesn't have one.
Yeah, this is how the foreskin crew.
Flex is like,
I'm a fucking, don't touch me in this fucking conversation.
Flex is like, what is this about?
What is this about? This is going to be the main reel, by the way.
Yeah, this is going to get a lot of traction.
Yeah.
I don't know who was it, John De La Rosa?
I think the story is that most of my athletes, including Flex and myself and Mike and John De La Rosa, and probably most of them don't have foreskins. How?
Because we need to make weight.
Yeah, we have to make weight. So anyway, let's change the subject.
You fucking talked about it. We didn't bring it up. He asked for training tips.
He brought it up.
I know.
He brought it up. Anyway, tip of the day. I don't think that I necessarily necessarily have any tips as far as the gym is concerned.
Certainly don't have any fucking foreskin tips. That's for sure.
Yes.
He can't. He doesn't have one.
Just the tip. Just the tip.
Just the tip. I would say that sometimes, in that moment in time when you're in the gym training, you make selective changes or executions on certain exercises based on each individual. So individuals are going to respond from different exercise application, setup. So off the top of my head, I probably can't answer anything other than just making sure that your exercise selection is in line with what your objective and goal is. You're looking to create some form of positive progressive overload environment. That being said, I feel that there's many variables which have to be considered. It's not just about more weight or more repetitions and adding weight. Good quality sets, good quality reps are going to create or magnify bigger changes than just simply always thinking about load and load and load. But maybe this is a podcast or something that we could do on another time. And maybe something what we could do is maybe try to do something which is podcast based, but it's a live workout in that time. I don't know if that's something which is possible, but I'm sure that you guys could put your creative energy into creating something different.
Yeah,
we could. Yeah.
We definitely want you back on the show because J-Rock has this list of questions he wants to ask you, mainly pertaining to me about all the fucking shenanigans we got up to. And if we pop that cherry, poor Mike will be still waiting to piss here because I know that this guy is dancing with his feet right now and he's ready to go. And we all know that feeling, right? When you're in prep and you have to drink 6 liters.
180 liters because your coach told you.
Yeah, I know. I got all them stories I can fill you in on the next podcast too. But listen, mate, I know in time of airing, this is going to be a week out from the show. Any message that you want to give to your fans that are watching in Germany and any message you want to give the fans that are going to meet in Hugh here and Mr. Olympia? That's your camera right there.
2 things. First of all, bodybuilding is not made out of genetics. Bodybuilding is made out of determination, focus, and passion. And secondly, I need to tell you that maybe Flex tried to turn that into something different, but I truly believe that everyone has the tools to create something incredible if they really want to.
Absolutely. And that's the truth right there. Yeah. Brock, anything in part in?
No, just look forward to seeing you there on stage, my first Olympia. So all the best wishes and positive vibes for you, man. And obviously the work's already been really done, so excited to see it.
One more thing. Maybe he doesn't know, but we have a tradition post-Olympia. It's called the family breakfast. Neil hasn't joined it.
Is that like a giant cheat meal?
No, I do a salad and a little piece of pancake, but it's more about the company. So my dad will be there. Hopefully I can force Neil to be there. And if you want to come, it's basically very, very small circle, having fun, sharing food, bullshit talk, stuff like that. The day after the Olympia is amazing.
It's the best feeling when the bag is off your back. Everybody's there to enjoy that company again, and you finally can enjoy that food, my friend.
I don't care about the food. I go for salad, and really, I don't give a shit about food. I don't like burgers, pizza stuff. I go for a nice fucking big salad with some nuts and feta cheese and stuff like that. But it's more about the people. So what I wanted to say is, hopefully, Coach will be there. And you guys are invited too.
Thank you for the invite.
Oh, thank you.
I appreciate it, my friend.
It's going to be cheap fucking IHOP or Denny's pancake. Anyway, but it's not about the food.
When has Denny's ever done salads?
That's just what I was saying.
What the fuck?
They do. Yeah. They do.
Do they? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you don't know because you missed the family breakfast last year.
It's never personal. Flex knows what I'm like. I'm so mentally exhausted and burnt out come Olympia or any major event, but it all starts all over again because the next day I've got peak week for another athlete or another 10 athletes because bodybuilding is like year round. So it's not that I don't appreciate those special moments. Flex will know. Flex doesn't even ask me, hey, do you want to come to the after party, mate? Listen.
I would ask you, but you say no.
Yeah, because all I want to do, I just want to eat a really nice meal and I want to go to bed. That it's not about antisocial. I need to emotionally and mentally recover, because there's a lot of pressure and responsibility that comes with athletes, you know, because there's not just Mike, there's other athletes in the show as well. And then I've got to make sure that I'm ready to sort of start all over prepping again the next day, which is a Sunday, because athletes are competing. I mean, Mike might be competing in the week after. So I'm always thinking, I'm always kind of like 1 or 2 steps in front of myself, just making sure I'm prioritizing everybody, because next week's athletes, that's their Mr. Olympia, even though it might be an amateur show in a different country or whatever it may be. It's just that, you know, the coaching cap never really comes off. It's always on, it's always present.
Yeah, that goes to show a lot about him, because when most people want to be in the light of, you know, yes, we won, where's all the cameras? You know,
he's in his bed already.
He was already in bed. He's like, you know me, Flax? I would get the whole conversation. I've heard this so many times. He was not, it wasn't that the fact that he want to be there to what he just said. His mindset is already on the next athletes and the next show.
I was impressed.
I got him out for one fucking after party. One after party, remember? Yeah. And my mother was at that after party too, on the dance floor with a fucking walking stick, remember?
Well, the other thing is...
We broke the top 5.
Yeah.
And I called him. I said, Coach, what about the gala? Let's celebrate. He was like, what the fuck are you talking about? I was sleeping. Then I realized, oh shit, it was at least as intense for him as for me. He was the guy who was not sleeping. I was in bed for 8 hours, chilling my ass off. He worked.
Running around all the other athletes.
Exactly. And then I realized, oh shit, this guy didn't sleep for 3 days. He's fucking exhausted. And he doesn't just care about one guy. He had Brandon Hendrickson, Alex Cambronero, me, multiple other athletes at the same time, and I can't handle my emotions. He handles fucking 8 people.
Yeah. All and by the way, before we shoot, who we got at the Olympia this year underneath you? Obviously, Mike.
Mike, it's pretty cool because there's 4 different divisions with athletes. Half Albrando going obviously into the open class. Karith Bajo, he's going to be doing 212. Ryan Clark, obviously homeboy here, doing his first ever men's physique. And then obviously Mike doing the classic physique. So all the athletes are in really, really good places with their physiques and emotionally and mentally. Of course, a lot can change between now and then. But at this present time, I feel that athletes are in great places.
I'm looking forward to it. And as you said, so many different athletes and so many different divisions, so many different clues, so many different puzzles to answer, right? Because everybody's got a different physique and everybody's got a different way that you've prepped them for that show, not only physically, but also mentally too. But in wrapping up the podcast, we've already lost Mike. He had to take a piss break. He couldn't go any longer. I was only keeping it on because he was talking, but he has already exited the scene. Coach Hill, always a pleasure to have you on the show, my friend, and looking forward to having a part 2. Rock?
Yeah, I'm excited. I got more questions, but I'm going to wait until we get done.
yeah, he's got a lot. He showed me some. I was like, we'll get it back on the show for them laughs and stuff. I know this week is serious. The mentality obviously is seen. We try to have, obviously a constructive conversation that we could take into different places, but also a little bit of humor, which, as you know, the week of that Mr. Olympia, humor is very hard to find, right? When you're so focused and you're so committed.
I think a lot of people think I'm a miserable bastard because I tend to have a serious face most of the time. I definitely have a fucked up broad sense of humor. So I like laugh, I like banter. I think my personality is pretty good. But I also have like a lot of pressure and responsibility with these athletes, of course, but my workload is really high, so like as soon as I come out of here, it'll be my piss break, wash my hands, and then I got to get in my car and then I got to go home because I've got probably 12 hours work I've got to get done tonight before I go to bed, and it all starts over the next day and the next day. My workload is not so busy that I don't have time for myself. I just need to be prioritizing things, and also I'll be shutting down check-ins peak week and then starting them all back up Sunday after the show, just to make sure that I'm able to give the time and the attention into these athletes. And also the other deliverables I'm going to have, obviously with sponsors, Yamamoto, etc., and other amazing companies.
Right. Well, we just hit the 144 mark, bro. I don't know how that fucking happened, but we've been gassing on for nearly 2 hours. This is supposed to be an hour show, but I think we got the best out of everybody. Okay. And poor Mike has been holding his legs shut for all this time. But that said, I think it's a nice way to segue out. Obviously, we got a lot of more athletes that are coming on the show this week. We got the Mr. Olympia festivities, Red Tail on Thursday for all the athletes that are coming into town. Make sure you check us out there. We're doing a Dragon's Lair event out there. We're doing a Dragon's Lair gym on property at Resorts World and some other bells and whistles throughout that weekend. So make sure you check out the Dragon's Lair for all the updates on my social media. But until then, this is Flex.
It's Rock.
We are out.